Imagine stripping away the Earth's rocky crust, discarding the oceans and the atmosphere, leaving behind nothing but a colossal, glowing and naked mass of iron. That is Mercury. This is not a planet that developed by the rules. It is a dud bomb core, a celestial body that was destined to be a giant, only to have 70% of its mass devoured by the sun while it was still in the womb. You are standing on an entity that is crushing itself to survive, directly in the crosshairs of its mother star. Why does such a tiny world carry an iron core that occupies 85% of its radius? The answer doesn't lie in evolution, but in an ancient homicide. Scientists believe Mercury was once several times its current size, until a cataclysmic collision stripped away its mantle, leaving behind a physical monstrosity. It is this titanic iron heart that generates a rhythmic, stuttering magnetic field. The only thing preventing the solar wind from blowing this world into oblivion, but the price of survival is eternal torture. The sun's gravity warps time itself, making a single day last twice as long as a year, creating permanent shadows where ice clings to life right next to the fire. Why is a metallic core still shrinking after 4 billion years? And what happens when this bomb core finally goes cold? We are unsealing the case file on this cosmic crime scene right now. To survive in the direct crosshairs of the sun, Mercury had to pay the ultimate price, its freedom over time. In the cosmos, velocity is the only ticket to survival. Screaming through space at 47 kilometers per second, Mercury races faster than any other planet just to avoid being swallowed by the sun's titanic gravity. It completes a full orbit in a mere 88 days. But here, a mathematical paradox emerges, shattering all human intuition. A single day here lasts twice as long as a year. How? The answer lies in a term called 3-to-2 orbital resonance. Imagine running on a carousel. You race around the center at breakneck speed, but you spin your own body with agonizing slowness. The sun has used its colossal tidal forces to grip the solid iron interior of Mercury, throttling its rotation. For every 3 times this planet spins on its axis, it has completed exactly 2 laps around the sun. The physical consequence of this ratio is a visual nightmare. If you were to stand on the surface of Mercury, you would witness the impossible, the sun moving backward. At certain points, because the orbital velocity outpaces the rotational speed, you would see the sun rise, stop mid-sky, retreat toward the horizon it just left, and only then resume its journey to the other side. This is no optical illusion. It is the exact moment where the grip of gravity overpowers the planet's own self-motion. This time prison establishes the binary hellscape we are about to explore. Because it rotates so slowly, 1/2 of the planet is exposed to the sun's horrific radiation for 88 consecutive days. Without an atmosphere to distribute the heat, the rocky surface is baked until minerals begin to transmute. Meanwhile, the other half is abandoned in eternal shadow, its heat hemorrhaging into the void, creating the most brutal temperature swing in the solar system. You see, on Mercury, time doesn't flow. It tortures. It is the noose tightening around this metallic entity, turning every moment of existence into a battle against collapse. But the death of time is nothing compared to the truth of the corpse it carries within. The temporal imprisonment we just explored has birthed a thermal monstrosity. Forget everything you know about hot planets. Mercury isn't just hot, it is a full-scale execution of thermodynamics. The culprit is absolute nakedness. This planet has no atmosphere. There is no gaseous blanket to trap heat. and nothing to distribute it. This transforms Mercury's surface into the most brutal frontier imaginable. On the day side, where the sun towers over the landscape for 88 consecutive days, temperatures hit 430 degrees Celsius. To put that in perspective, it is a heat fierce enough to liquefy lead, tin, and zinc. If you stood there, NASA's most advanced spacesuit would melt like candle wax in seconds. The ground beneath your feet isn't just rock. It is a scorched entity being baked to its core by high-concentration ultraviolet radiation. But this is where logic shatters. You only need to step across the boundary between light and shadow, the line we call the Terminator, and you fall straight into a different kind of hell. The temperature collapses from 430 degrees Celsius to minus 180 degrees Celsius, a thermal shock of 600 degrees Celsius. In all the cosmos, there is no other place with such a horrific temperature swing on a single surface. Without an atmosphere to conduct heat, energy hemorrhages into the void instantly. If you stood on that line, your front half would be incinerated while your back half froze eternally. Existence here is an absolute contradiction. And here is the ironclad proof of the cruelty of darkness. At the poles of this planet, the one closest to the sun, we find something that should not be allowed to exist: permanent ice. At the bottom of deep impact craters where sunlight hasn't touched for billions of years, due to the planet's nearly vertical axis, temperatures remain in a deep freeze. Water molecules from ancient comet strikes have been trapped here, frozen into blocks of pure ice, sitting silently right next to the greatest furnace in the solar system. The presence of ice on Mercury isn't a miracle of life. It is proof that the darkness here is powerful enough to defy even the sun's command. But do not let the stillness of the ice deceive you. Beneath the scorched and frozen crust, another geological tragedy is unfolding. Mercury isn't just being tortured from the outside, it is cannibalizing itself from within. If you were to slice Mercury in half, you would witness an impossible sight. On Earth, the metallic core is a small fraction of the center. But on Mercury, that titanic iron core occupies 85% of the planet's radius. Essentially, Mercury is not a rocky planet. It is a gargantuan iron bullet wrapped in a layer of crust that is laughably thin. This anomaly leads to a chilling hypothesis. The Mercury we see today is merely a fragmented remains. Billions of years ago, a massive celestial body likely slammed into it, stripping away thousands of kilometers of rocky mantle and flinging them into the void, leaving behind a naked iron core bleeding in the crosshairs of the sun. But this oversized iron heart is carrying out a suicide sentence. Because of its immense iron mass, as the planet cools over time, the core begins to contract. Imagine a grape withering into a raisin. The outer crust loses its footing, forced to buckle, crack, and overlap to adapt to the shrinking core. The result is gargantuan cliffs, known as rupees, rising 3,000 meters high and stretching for hundreds of kilometers, tearing the planet's surface apart. Mercury is literally crushing itself. It is shrinking. These geological scars are the evidence of a planet shivering in a slow-motion agony that has lasted for billions of years. And here is the crux of its existence: a tiny, stripped entity shrinking and baking. Why does it not simply vanish? The answer is its magnetic field. Small as it is, that iron core still struggles to generate a magnetic shield against the solar wind. But this shield is imperfect. It leaks. It allows high-energy solar particles to rip through the surface, kicking up rock dust to create a temporary atmosphere from its own debris. Mercury doesn't just survive, it lives in an eternal loop of destruction and regeneration. It is a monument to the most brutal endurance that matter can sustain. But even this endurance has its limits, and we are drawing closer to the final act of this solitary gatekeeper. We began this journey calling Mercury the messenger of the gods, an entity of pure speed. But after stripping away its flesh and bone, we are confronted with a far more grim reality. Mercury doesn't run for passion, it runs to escape death. 47 kilometers per second is the price it pays to avoid being swallowed by the sun. But the mathematics of the universe always demands a fair trade. To keep this metallic corpse intact, it had to surrender its time and its freedom to its mother star. It stands there, enduring the agony of a 600-degree thermal shock, watching the sun retreat across the sky, feeling its own body crack and shrink with every passing billion years. If Neptune was found through mathematics, then Mercury is where human mathematics was tested to its breaking point. It was its stubborn, inexplicable orbit that forced Albert Einstein to rewrite the laws of the entire cosmos through the theory of relativity. Mercury is not just a planet, it is a brutal gauntlet for human intellect. One day, the sun will swell into a red giant, and Mercury will be the first to face execution. But until then, it remains at the front lines, burning by day and freezing by night, the most loyal gatekeeper of the solar system. Mercury reminds us, even if you are merely a stripped ruin, standing firm against the fires of destiny is a magnificent victory. The messenger's journey has ended, but its scars will tell the story of survival longer than any civilization on Earth. What you're hearing is raw electromagnetic radiation data captured by the Cassini spacecraft at Saturn's North Pole. It isn't just white noise. It's the sonic footprint of a magnetic powerhouse, a celestial entity spinning at 35,000 kilometers per hour, warping the very laws of physics in its wake. This force dictates a grim mathematical frontier, the Roche limit, the tipping point where Saturn's tidal gravity overpowers the structural integrity of any celestial body. 100 million years ago, an icy moon wandered into this trap and was torn to shreds. But instead of plunging into the abyss, centrifugal force locked the remains into a skeletal halo of debris. But here's the problem. This system is unstable. Latest observations reveal that Saturn is digesting its own jewelry through a phenomenon known as ring rain. Every single second, 10 tons of matter are being siphoned into the atmosphere by the magnetic field. The most magnificent rings in the solar system are, in fact, committing a slow-motion suicide. Why is it vanishing so fast? And why are we lucky enough to be standing here, right now, to witness its final, dying gasps? As we established, Saturn's radio screams are the pulse of an extreme gravitational and magnetic field. But why does a simple pull possess the power to rip a solid world apart? The answer lies in the differential. Picture an icy moon drifting toward Saturn. According to the laws of gravity, the side facing the planet feels a stronger pull than the side facing away. At a safe distance, this gap only creates tides. But cross the Roche limit, and that gap becomes lethal. The stretching force on the leading face grows so violent it overpowers the internal gravity, holding the moon's molecules together. In other words, the moon doesn't just fall like a stone, it is dismembered in mid-orbit. Data from the Cassini mission points to a name, Veritas. 100 million years ago, this moon may have harbored an icy ocean, until its orbit drifted off course. When Veritas hit the Roche limit, it didn't detonate like a bomb. It was stretched into an ellipse, then it snapped. In a matter of days, a monolithic world transformed into a 100,000-kilometer ribbon of shrapnel. This explains why Saturn's rings are 99% pure ice. This isn't ancient cosmic dust. It is the fresh flesh and bone of an executed moon. So why didn't this debris plummet immediately? Orbital velocity. Every shattered ice crystal retained the frantic momentum of its parent moon, screaming along at 70,000 kilometers per hour. At this speed, centrifugal force pushes outward, perfectly counterbalancing the gravity pulling inward. They are locked in a state of eternal suspension, haunted by the very spot where their mother world died. Saturn didn't just tear a moon apart. It froze the moment of the massacre to create the ring we see today. The balance between centrifugal force and gravity we just analyzed. It's a static illusion. In physics, nothing stands still forever, especially not when billions of shards from the moon Veritas are drifting through a gauntlet of extreme magnetic fields and radiation. The problem starts with the very nature of this debris. Because these rings are 99% pure ice, they are hypersensitive to solar ultraviolet light. When the sun hits them, these ice particles ionize, taking on a positive charge. Instantly, they cease to be mere players in Newtonian mechanics. They become puppets in the grip of Saturn's colossal magnetic web. This is where the radio screams you heard earlier reveal their devastating power. Saturn's magnetic field isn't just noise, it's a gargantuan funnel. These electrified ice grains are seized by the field, their orbits warped, dragged along spiral paths toward the planet's poles. Scientists call this ring rain. The logic of this self-destruction follows a relentless chain reaction. Ionization. Sunlight transforms ice into charged particles. Loss of momentum. The magnetic field exerts a Lorentz force, sabotaging the 70,000 kilometers per hour orbital velocity that kept them suspended. Decay. As velocity drops, centrifugal force fails. Gravity wins. The result? 10 tons of matter plummet into Saturn's atmosphere every single second. Based on mass loss data from Cassini, the speed of this digestion is staggering. Saturn is devouring an Olympic-sized swimming pool of material every 30 minutes. At this rate, the most magnificent ring system in the solar system will be wiped clean in less than 100 million years. A mere blink of an eye in cosmic time. But the most chilling part isn't that the rings are vanishing, it's where they're landing. When 10 tons of ice slam into the atmosphere every second, they don't just evaporate, This massive influx of water and chemicals is radically altering Saturn's ionosphere, fueling extreme climatic shifts, the monstrous hexagonal storms we see today. We aren't just observing a ringed planet. We are witnessing an entity cannibalizing its own past to feed the superstorms of its present. So, what happens at the final impact point of this ring rain? What bone-crushing pressure awaits beneath those hexagonal clouds? Ready to grind the last remains of the moon Veritas into nothingness? When 10 tons of ring rain vanish into the atmosphere every second, they don't just disappear into the void. They become high-octane fuel for the most brutal weather machine in the solar system. To understand why Saturn screams and how it sustains such impossible geometric storms, we must look beneath the amber veil deep into the churning core. Our first stop, the hexagon. This isn't an optical illusion or a cosmic coincidence. It is a perfect hexagonal megastorm, twice the width of Earth, with unnervingly straight edges. Physically, this hexagon is the byproduct of extreme velocity gaps between jet streams. With gases screaming at 1,800 kilometers per hour and no solid surface to provide friction, the vortices self-organize into stable geometric structures. But what haunts scientists is how this flow seems anchored by a titanic upwelling of energy from the planet's depths, where pressure begins to snap every known molecular structure. The deeper we go, the more Saturn's cruelty reveals itself through sheer force. Thousands of kilometers down, hydrogen as we know it ceases to exist. Under millions of bars of pressure, hydrogen atoms are crushed so tightly that electrons are stripped from their nuclei, forging a sea of liquid metallic hydrogen. This is the heart of the beast. This layer of metallic fluid acts as a colossal dynamo. The convective churning of this electrified liquid generates a terrifying magnetic field that enshrouds every moon and ring in its path. The radio screams we record are the raw output of this process, the mechanical roar of an engine grinding matter into pure energy. But in this high-pressure hellscape, there is a phenomenon that turns brutality into ultimate luxury: diamond rain. In the deep layers, pressure cooks methane, stripping carbon and compressing it into raw diamonds that hail down toward the core. But make no mistake, this is no treasure trove. Before any diamond can fully form, temperatures soaring to tens of thousands of degrees melt them into a liquid carbon ocean. Saturn builds nothing to last. It crushes everything, from moons to diamonds, into a state of chaotic flux to fuel its eternal rotation. So, if the mother planet is a pressure cooker that brooks no life, why are the satellites sitting right on the edge of this death zone our greatest hope? Why just outside the Roche trap is life perhaps flickering beneath the ice? The existence of Saturn's moons is living proof of a brutal physical schism. Stay just beyond the Roche limit, and matter is granted the chance to create rather than be executed. While the mother planet is busy crushing debris and melting diamonds, a completely opposite script is unfolding just past that deadly frontier. Enceladus is the prime example of this contradiction. A tiny, frozen jewel, yet it erupts with colossal geysers firing pure water into the vacuum of space. Here, the very tidal forces that dismembered the moon Veritas serve as a life-giving furnace. Positioned safely outside the Roche trap, Saturn's pull isn't strong enough to shatter Enceladus, but it is enough to knead its rocky core, generating the friction heat that keeps a liquid ocean swirling beneath the ice. In a strange cosmic loop, the water spewed from Enceladus is seized by Saturn's magnetic field, feeding the E-ring. A moon silently nurturing the very ring system of the giant that nearly crushed it. Further out lies Titan, the only moon in the solar system with a thick atmosphere and rivers of liquid methane. Titan is a dark, frozen mirror of Earth, but its peace is a trade-off. It sits far enough to escape the tidal shredder, yet close enough to be imprisoned within Saturn's lethal radiation belts. Every complex organic molecule on Titan is the byproduct of the radio screams bombarding its atmosphere, a chemical alchemy that many believe is the precursor to life itself. The existence of Enceladus and Titan presents humanity with a haunting paradox. The environments with the highest potential for life sit directly adjacent to the most ruthless meat grinder in the cosmos. This led to the most tragic sacrifice in the history of space exploration, the Death of Cassini. In 2017, as the Cassini spacecraft ran dry on fuel, NASA scientists faced an ethical ultimatum. They could not let Cassini drift aimlessly. A rogue collision could contaminate Enceladus with Earth-borne bacteria, forever tainting the search for pristine alien life. NASA issued a final suicidal command: dive into the heart of Saturn. In its final moments, the craft fought against the bone-crushing pressure to transmit one last data stream, the chemical fingerprints of the ring rain falling from above. Cassini wasn't just destroyed, it was vaporized, ionized, becoming a permanent ghost within Saturn's atmosphere. The end of Cassini is the ultimate testament to this planet's logic. To understand the secrets of life and beauty, we must accept destruction. Saturn did not just cannibalize its moons, it swallowed humanity's final messenger, closing a chapter of history, just to keep the flickering hopes on Enceladus untouched. Saturn's rings are more than just a wonder. They are a grim foreshadowing of the Kessler syndrome right here on Earth. The rings are, in essence, a graveyard of density, a zone where any spacecraft daring to cross is instantly obliterated. Earth is currently forging its own Roche limit out of technological waste. Once satellite density hits a critical mass, a single collision will trigger a chain reaction, transforming our orbit into a lethal belt of shrapnel screaming at 28,000 kilometers per hour. Both share the same terminal outcome: imprisonment. Saturn imprisons the corpse of the moon Veritas in a gravitational loop before slowly digesting it. The Kessler syndrome will imprison humanity beneath our own atmosphere, turning space into an inescapable cage. We will gaze up at a ring of debris surrounding us, not a crown of glory, but a testament to technological suicide. The truth is, the beauty we admire is merely a glitch in time. In 100 million years, as the old rings fade into oblivion, Saturn will lure its next victims, Enceladus, Mimas, into the Roche trap to recycle a brand new set of rings. The universe does not operate to maintain stability. It thrives on the recycling of destruction. Saturn will remain there, cannibalizing its children to sustain its hollow splendor. As for us, will we learn the lesson written in those fragments before we finish locking the door to the stars? If Saturn showed us what gravity can do to a ring system, Venus shows what heat and pressure can do to an Earth-sized world. They call Venus Earth's twin. But that name hides one of the harshest planetary failures in the solar system. Similar mass, similar structure, completely different fate. Hotter than Mercury, crushed beneath a supercritical atmosphere, buried under a sky where blue light no longer survives. In the next episode, we descend into Venus, Earth's twin, broken by physics.